Oh man, what an interesting time. Here's my prediction for the next decade in blue-collar trades work. And if you're new here, I'm involved in excavation. That's primarily the work I do. And right now, I am an employee with action steps to start my own business. 8 years in excavation, grew up on a farm, a dairy farm. So always been an equipment person, a heavy equipment person. So, but now I'm father to 2 beautiful daughters and a husband, of course, as well. And here's my thoughts, okay? After 8 years, I see a tremendous amount of work to be done. Everywhere you go in New England, there is not enough housing. There is development and building and infrastructure happening, change happening. And I think that's amazing because we're at the peak of science and technology and development and mindful building. Here in Vermont, people treasure the environment in a way that typically is viewed as pretty counterproductive. And Vermont's population, this is a whole separate conversation, but Vermont's population is just tiny compared to our neighbor New Hampshire. And a lot of that is because of the emphasis the emphasis on preservation and the difficulty to really in building here. It's expensive and there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and the laws and policies in the state make it pretty difficult to do so. Okay, so how does that tie into the conversation? I know young entrepreneurs with families in this space, and I think that we are entering a new chapter of business in this area, at least, where our parents were part of a generation that embodied this work hard and you will be compensated abundantly, fairly for doing so. They were in the second half of a time in American history where one household income could sustain a family comfortably. And that was my grandfather, and that was in part my father. But it's not working out like that so much anymore. A single income in this part of the country is not enough. In a lot of cases, not enough to purchase a home, buy food, have a reliable vehicle. People struggle. So I predict that a lot of change will have to happen because people are forcing infrastructure businesses to accommodate a better, healthier life. People are moving away from the city because they realize how toxic it is to have absolutely no connection to the earth and its resources, how far you are from this concept of stewardship as a person of those resources when you don't even know where your food comes from. And we want to come out here and we want to start lives and feel good about doing so, but we don't want to trade our entire family life for that. Speaking for myself, I am not going to say yes to 50, 60, 70 plus hours a week just to survive out here in the countryside. And so I think this time is when people are commanding change. When business owners are starting businesses, starting slow businesses, buying smarter, purchasing smarter, buying with more cash and less finance, taking longer to accomplish the things that we set out to do, because slow growth is the new fast. Like, it's not the new fast, it's not a new concept, obviously, but people are realizing that speed is not necessarily good for us. I got people behind me, sorry. And I just wanted to share that thought, because that's where I'm finding myself. The second part of that is this emphasis on understanding we only get one life. We only have one opportunity to be a father, be a husband. And our parents and our grandparents viewed that very much as provide, and if your wife or your partner was home, they could serve as the home body, the home role. Our generation, men are not wanting to trade as much time away from their loved ones in order to provide an income. And so people are building businesses from home. People are building remote businesses. But if you're like me and you're interested in building a trades business or being involved in the trades, and especially excavation, which is a hardcore reputation, I'm finding that I'm just completely turned off by any notion of bigger is better. Feeling like I want to protect the time with my family over everything else, because my presence as a father it's like the metric that everything else falls under. Financial success or abundance is not as important as being a present person in my children's lives, being there for my wife when she needs me, not being far away, because my role as a father is actually the most important thing in my life, and the actions that trickle out of that and down into other parts of life reflect being that person. choosing to say no more, or to yes to slower growth, more strategic decision making, the boring stuff, really, like choosing to say yes to more boredom in an entrepreneurial sense, so that I can say yes to the most basic, zero cost presence of being a person who's reliably there in my children's lives and in my wife, in the life of my wife. So that's my prediction. I think we already are seeing this start, because the people who had a different way of thinking are retiring. They're selling their businesses. And the money is sitting, waiting for the people like you and me in that very conservative growth phase of business, startup, or if you're lucky enough to have found a wonderful person to work for or with, and a crew that has this like-minded view of the world where family is first, then you're already building into that. And I have been fortunate enough to be in that position a time or two, and still know those people and still call them my friends and speak with them all the time about this exact subject. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in hearing more of this kind of discussion. I would appreciate a subscribe to the channel. That helps a lot, especially in these early days. A thumbs up and a comment with your thoughts. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.